Welcome to episode number 77 of the River City Hardball podcast, a place to talk baseball in Jacksonville at the high school, college, and professional level. And the Jacksonville Jumbo Shrimp, a long-awaited season, is about to come to pass here. Coming up today, opening day is here, and the broadcaster for the Jumbo Shrimp is Scott Kornberg. He joins us right now. Scott, I know this is, to say the least, a long time coming for you guys. Finally, a season is here.
Yes, we are obviously incredibly grateful. It'll be the first time for the Jumbo Shrimp on the field today since August of 2019. So if my math is correct, it's about 20 months, maybe 19. But either way, we're just incredibly excited. We're amazed at how the community has embraced us through a lost season. And obviously through some of the excitement of baseball coming back today, of the Jumbo Shrimp moving up to AAA, and obviously for our normal, really exciting and great and fun, memorable promotion. So we just are really, really thankful that we've had the community behind us through all this time, and can't wait to open the gates a little bit later.
You know, this is such a historic moment in the city for Jacksonville because of, as you mentioned, the move up to AAA. Jacksonville has been a AA affiliate for the last 50 or so years, and now it's a AAA club. I mean, that's a huge moment today for the city.
Absolutely. So it's the first time Jacksonville will field a AAA baseball team, so the highest level of the minor leagues since 1968. And I would be remiss if I didn't mention that Jacksonville did win the 1968 International League Championship. So more than 50 years later, here we are trying to defend that title. But in all seriousness, it's really a tremendous thing, I think, for the city. It's a rapidly growing area, and it only makes sense for Jacksonville when you combine the demographics of a city and a region that's growing exponentially with the support and the record-breaking attendance that we get and support that we get every single year, even in a pandemic, from our fans. It only makes sense for Jacksonville to be at this level, competing with cities like Charlotte and Nashville, other really fast-growing areas of the country. And so this wouldn't happen without the people of Jacksonville and Northeast Florida and St. Augustine and obviously the Southeast Georgia area. And for that, we're just so excited because you're going to be still seeing the very top-rated prospects coming up the ladder, and the Marlins have a top 5 farm system by every single publication. And you're also going to be seeing guys coming down from the major leagues on rehab assignments, and also guys who are just trying to keep that dream alive and maybe had been in the major leagues in the past and trying to do whatever they can to get back. And for us, it's also a tremendous opportunity to continue a long-standing partnership with the Marlins that dates back to 2009. So even though it is a little bit of a new thing in AAA, it's also a familiarity working with the Marlins. And we are going to see players who we had at the AA level in the past, and also guys who are, as I mentioned earlier, coming down from the big league club. And, it's just amazing. You're going to see a guy playing shortstop or whatever one day, and then the next day or 2 days later, they might be in the major leagues. And that's what this AAA thing means. And I think we underestimated how excited the community would be about this. They have been just thrilled ever since we received that invitation from the Marlins, and we've had honestly record-breaking season ticket sales leading up to today.
And you have to think about you guys lost a season last year, so you combine that with the fact that you're moving up to AAA. I mean, the excitement is just tenfold, right?
Yeah. As I mentioned, I think with the way the season ticket sales have gone, and part of that is, we haven't played in a while. Part of that is AAA. Part of that is people just want to get out of the house. And part of that is we're going to be dealing with, at least in the beginning of the season, a 45% capacity limit. That's dictated to us. That's not us. That's dictated to us by a whole bunch of governing parties. And so that gets reevaluated. But there is only about 5,000 fans, a touch less, through the gates every single night. And normally that's our average. So that's, what we're kind of doing based on 7, 8, 9,000 for Fridays and Saturdays and Thursday games even. And so those tickets, and really every single night is a hot button ticket And so I think between that and the limited demand, like, believe me, we would rather have everybody able to come like normal. But I think people do see a little bit of an urgency in trying to come out to the ballpark simply because of all the excitement factors, like you had detailed, and also the fact that we just don't have the space that we normally do here at this great ballpark. So again, we're really, really lucky, really fortunate to have the community support behind us, and we cannot wait to see everybody again, because it's been a weird feeling here at the ballpark with no fans and obviously no baseball for the last 20 months.
Speaking of feeling, Scott Kornberg is with us from the Jacksonville Jumbo Shrimp. It's opening day, man. What does that feel like to you? What are your emotions? What are your feelings as you approach opening day?
Oh, I mean, every year you're so thankful that you get to do this, right? I get to come to a ballpark and talk and watch baseball for my job. I mean, how lucky am I to do that? And so every opening day, I'm thankful because I could easily not have this job, and obviously incredibly grateful that the Jumbo Shrimp have invested in their broadcast. And but I just think I've got the coolest job in the world, and so I think today the feeling is thankfulness, it's gratitude, especially because I got to see what it was like when it was taken away in 2020, but also obviously excitement. I can't wait to see what kind of team we put on the field. I think we've got some really exciting prospects out there. I think we've got a really great coaching staff, but just from a strictly who I am perspective, I just feel like I'm very, very fortunate. I'm very, very lucky to do what I do. I probably don't deserve it. I didn't do anything to become a AAA broadcaster. I just have tried to put myself in the right place at the right time. And obviously some things are out of your control and your team you work for gets moved up. But today, I think maybe more than extra than any other opening day, in addition to the obvious excitement and the obvious urge to see some fans come through the gates here and obviously hear that chatter, it's just gratitude, because we did go through what it was like to not have baseball here. And so to get that back, even though it's a tough year with access for us than normal, where we can't go into the clubhouse, we can't go to batting practice, we're not going to travel to start the year, we have baseball back, and that's really all that matters.
Yeah, those are certainly some hurdles as you approach it from a broadcast standpoint. How will you manage all that? And because access is such a huge part of the broadcast.
It's going to be, that's a great question. And it's going to be very different in the fact that normally you could pick up so many great nuggets and tidbits, as as a broadcaster yourself, from just talking to people. I always say that's the best thing you could do, is just go down there and ask guys, how's your family? What's going on? What are you working on? Blah, blah, blah. And so I think we're really going to have to make the most of the limited time that we do have with these guys over a Zoom when we do get to interview them. Obviously, Google is our friend, right? There's a lot of really great information on Google in terms of guys' backgrounds from the past. And also, there's really interesting stuff now with data that we could use that didn't exist in the past, that, anyone can look up how often a guy hits a ground ball or a fly ball on Fangraphs. And that's a really interesting nugget sometimes you could find there. And so we're going to have to be creative, but I do think that the goal is that you don't want fans to be like, man, like they haven't done their homework. There's plenty of ways for us to do our homework, and it's just a little bit different this year. And I think that's going to make us better broadcasters, Matt Preston, our other broadcaster, and myself. And, I'm really excited to be able to add those elements. Yeah, it's a challenge, but heck, that's what we're here for. We're here to navigate through that. And I'm really excited because I think this makes us better broadcasters. Yeah, we're not going to have that access in the past, but there's other ways for us to make the most of the access we do have, and to make our broadcasts really, really exciting and informative and fun to listen to. And I think we've got some really great ways of doing that. And I can't wait to share that beginning tonight with our listeners.
Yeah, so much of broadcasting, as you know, is creativity. You gotta figure it out and make it happen for sure. Scott, what about this team this year? You mentioned the expectations of the team that will be put on the field. the first AAA team for the Jumbo Shrimp. Tell us about what you expect out of this team.
Well, I think from one perspective, when you think about when Jacksonville was a AAA team from 1962 to 1968, I mean, several Hall of Famers came through there. And, I mean, they're not just, oh, I didn't realize that guy was a Hall of Famer. It's Nolan Ryan and it's Tom Seaver. I mean, these are two of the best pitchers to ever live. And so I'm not going to put any of those expectations on any of the guys we have this year. But the Marlins have several highly rated prospects by any publication. And so, I'm really excited, and especially pitching rich in this organization and the history of Jacksonville, to see guys and what they can do on the mat. I think that's what the Marlins have shown is they could develop pitchers. We've seen Trevor Rogers go from kind of an interesting guy to somebody who is now dominating in the major leagues. Sixto Sanchez was the same way. And obviously he's going to be a guy who, in his rehab back to the major leagues from a little bit of a setback a month ago, should see some time in Jacksonville. And now everybody knows what he can do. And Edward Cabrera is the same way. And our manager, Al Padrique, has raved about a former first-round pick in Braxton Garrett. So there's going to be a slew of talented arms we have. And then the Marlins have made some really interesting additions position player-wise this year, or in the past. So, it's kind of a second chance opportunity for somebody like a Monte Harrison, who at one time was a highly rated prospect. It's an interesting chance for Lewin Diaz, who they traded for in 2019, who's at some point going to get an opportunity to play every day at first base in the major leagues. And obviously there's going to be guys like JJ Bleday, who led the nation in home runs at Vanderbilt in his last year there and was a first-round pick by the Marlins, 4th overall. And obviously he's going to get an opportunity to come through Jacksonville as well. So it's going to be a really interesting mix of players on the rise, like a Garrett and a Diaz and a Bleday, and also players who have that second chance to try to make do and put some polish on their game, like a Monte Harrison. And also at the same time, there's going to be guys maybe like coming down from the major leagues at some point, and Isan Diaz just went up, but he was a guy who didn't really have a great stint in the major leagues his first couple times there. Maybe his polish coming down to Jacksonville and going back up at certain points this year, and players like him, that's what we're here for. So it's going to be an eclectic mix of characters in terms of young, second chance guys, older guys trying to make it back. But by every single account, this is an outstanding farm system. And now you're talking about a manager like Al Padrique, who's had a storied history in baseball, who was on the major league staff for the Oakland A's, one of the most successful franchises in baseball. He was there for that run the last 3 years and adding some key pieces in development, like a Jeremy Powell as a pitching coach and Phil Plantier as hitting coach and Danny Black as your defensive coach. It's a great staff to work with this group of characters.
Scott, you mentioned the talent that the Marlins have produced, and certainly with their farm system moving up through the ranks. I look back to when the Marlins traded Zach Gallen for Jazz Chisholm, and I thought, man, how did they trade Zach Gallen? This guy is going to be an ace for many years to come. But then now you look at Jazz Chisholm. I understand that he's on the shelf right now, but I think that trade might work out for both parties.
That's the goal, right? With any trade, you don't want to rip somebody off. I mean, you want it to work for both sides. And I think there was a lot of doubt because Zach Gallen just shoved in the major leagues. But Jazz Chisholm, to be honest with you, I think he's even surprised the Marlins. They kind of weren't sure if he was going to be a starting player coming out of spring training and if they'd have to send him here to the alternate training site. But he not only earned the starting job, but he's had almost like some face of the franchise moments. He's just an electric player, and I give him a lot of credit because when that trade was made, he was really struggling with Jackson and then the AA affiliate of the Diamondbacks, and a lot of swing and miss in his game. He came to the Marlins. He made several really notable quick adjustments to try to make a little bit more contact, and that played when he played with Jacksonville in the last couple months of the 2019 season. And obviously that has gone on to 2020 when he had a stint in the major leagues. and now in 2021 when he's had a great first month prior to injury. So you have to give the Marlins a lot of credit because that's a risky deal. And Chisholm is one of those high risk, high reward guys because of his swing and miss in his game. But they have made those adjustments. He's put in the work. And, I think to your credit, you said it, both sides are kind of reaping the benefit. Arizona's got a potential ace, and the Marlins have a up-the-middle premium player who now figures to be a huge part of their future. Again, people think of the Marlins as a year or two away, but they've been competitive so far in a really good division. And who knows? They've got the pitching. It's now about can guys like Jazz Chisholm and other guys coming up the ladder, who obviously we'll see in Jacksonville starting today, can those guys supplement and maybe build on a surprise 2020 playoff run into maybe more in 2021?
Well, and that's the key. I mean, the Marlins have the pitching, and that's such a hard thing to find, as you know. I mean, you mentioned a moment ago, Trevor Rogers has really burst onto the scene, a hard-throwing left-hander that's really shown some promise in the major leagues. And, you look at Sandy at the top of the rotation, and Pablo Lopez has really performed well. I mean, they're one of the more fun young teams out there in baseball right now, the Marlins.
Yeah, and it's obviously going to get even better when Sixto gets back up there. I think there is something to the fact that people looked at the Marlins, and I think the projection systems before the season had them in the low 70s win total. And I get it. Like the Mets had loaded up. The Braves are obviously really good. Philadelphia has an interesting team. I didn't really buy the Nationals, and that's kind of shown, but who knows? Like they've got some really, really big star power players. But there's something to the fact that every single day the Marlins are throwing out just an extraordinary starting pitcher. And they, everyone's like, well, they don't have a great offense, but they don't need to hit, right? Like they don't need to go out there and score 8 runs a game to win. A lot of the times all they need is 3 or 4, and they're good because of that starting pitching. And so the great thing about it is a lot of those guys are so young, and they almost have too many starters to begin with now. Like once Sanchez gets back up there, and Edward Cabrera hasn't made his major league debut yet, but a lot of people think he's better than Sixto Sanchez. And then it's going to be Braxton Garrett, and Max Meyer, their first round pick from last year. So like there's just a pipeline, and there's more guys than that are coming up, and it's a good problem to have, right? Pitching is a little bit unpredictable with your injuries, but it is exciting because, yes, they've kind of got an older position player side of the roster right now, but the pitching is young, and they're just throwing flamethrowers out there every single night, and I think that keeps them in every single game, and I think that's why they overperformed expectations in 2020, and so far are doing that again in April.
When you mentioned J.J. Bleday earlier, and then I was going to ask you about Max Meyer. Do you guys anticipate seeing him at AAA this year, Max?
That's an interesting one. That's a guy that he's advanced for a first-round pick that he has that college time where it's a little bit different than, say, Braxton Garrett, for example, who was a high school draftee and had to kind of work and also coming off Tommy John surgery when he was drafted, and kind of had to ease his way into the minor leagues and then build his way up to this level. Max Meyer is interesting in the fact that, he's coming from college, so he's more advanced to begin with, but also the fact that he can, in theory, be used as a reliever just simply because his breaking pitches are so good. So I'm curious about kind of what the Marlins do with him. Do they try to bring him up a little bit faster than anticipated? I think you can make the case for both ways, right? Okay, they could probably use a lights out reliever, and maybe he's that guy who could do that in the second half of the season or in 2022 if you kind of put him on the fast track. On the other hand, he has more value as a starting pitcher, but the Marlins at the moment don't need more starting pitchers. And obviously this is going to be predicated on what he does in the lower levels as well. But he's an interesting guy. The Marlins historically are more aggressive with their prospects. Obviously a different era now with a different ownership group, and it's also a different GM in Kim Ng. So we'll see how she is with that. it's going to be a lot different in 2021 with Kim Ng in charge than it was with Michael Hill in the past. So definitely a chance for sure. And I think it kind of depends on A, are the Marlins competing, and B, do they need a bullpen piece? And do they want to kind of fast track him from there? But certainly he's a guy that when they selected him, I think they had in mind that he can get to the major leagues a little bit earlier than some of the other options on the board.
Final few moments here with Scott Kornberg from the Jacksonville Jumbo Shrimp, opening day today. Tell us about the schedule upcoming for the Jumbo Shrimp and some of the exciting promotions that you guys have coming up, Scott.
Well, beginning today, we've got 3 fireworks shows in our first homestand. So May 4th through 9th, obviously, and we've got fireworks tonight, we've got fireworks Friday, and we have fireworks Saturday. So I know everybody loves those. We have our first Saturday giveaway, Stone Garrett bobble catch. So kind of a take on his SportsCenter #1 play. That is on Saturday. Obviously, our first Thirsty Thursday, people always ask about those. That's in just a couple of days. And it's exciting. People have responded to those great promotions again. Our next homestand isn't for a couple weeks after this. The team will go on the road to Durham and then Norfolk. And it is an interesting schedule from a baseball perspective in the fact that it's only in the division this year. So we're only going to see Durham, Norfolk, Gwinnett, Memphis, and Nashville. And obviously even Gwinnett and Memphis don't make the trip here. The Jumbo Shrimp will make the road series trip to those respective places. But I think from fans' perspectives, what you can expect is all those classic promotions in the past, the Friday fireworks, the Saturday giveaways, the Thirsty Thursdays, the Sunday Kids Days. We've got Youth Sports Day this Sunday with Kids Run the Bases afterwards. And we've also got some other classics like Military Appreciation Night and our Dog Days. People always ask about those. And we've got some really weird ones this year, of course, because that's what we do. We embrace that quirkiness and that fun. So we've got the Gen X Olympics. That one is really funny to me. We've got Harry Potter Night, but that's spelled Hairy. We've got Dunder Mifflin Night. So we've got a whole bunch of really, really fun things, and they're all on our website, jackshrimp.com. So it all begins today. It's our first fireworks show. Everybody loves it. We've already got a great crowd who had bought their tickets. I mean, this game sold out almost the day we put single game tickets on sale. So we just can't wait to see everybody here.
I think the last thing and probably the most important thing for fans is, all right, how do I get tickets? Jackshrimp.com. Where do I go?
So jackshrimp.com is the best place to do that. In the top left, there's a ticket and promotions tab and an easy way to purchase tickets through there. And then you could also call our box office at 904-358-2846. And they can obviously help as well for those with single game tickets. But we've got dedicated reps for ticket packages for group outings. And that's that same number, 904-358-2846. And again, we're so thankful for the way the community has embraced us during the time we did not have baseball. And we cannot wait to see everybody beginning in just a few hours.
Scott Kornberg from the Jacksonville Jumbo Shrimp. Let's definitely do this again soon, Scott. The season is here. Very exciting times. Thanks for your time today, and best of luck, man.
Thank you for having me on. It was a pleasure. Let me know, and I'd be happy to do it again. Thank you.